In Germany for over 20 years, and I'm fortunate enough to be the managing director. So what we've got on the show here is really a shift in technology. So for several years, the market in Europe has been dominated by detection systems such as ultrasonics and radar. What we're seeing at this show is really the start of camera-based systems, camera-based detection systems with artificial intelligence support. So what that really means is that historically we've had warning buzzers attached to side detection systems or reversing systems, like many cars have got ultrasonics on the back. And they have great advantages because they're very efficient. One slight negative to that is that if you're driving with an ultrasonic system on the side of the vehicle, it will detect people, it will detect cyclists. It's also going to detect items on the side of the road. So if you overtake a car, it will find the car, it will warn the driver. And we find, over the years, we found that a lot of false warnings will really mean that the driver will start to ignore the warning because every time he looks, there's nothing there. So with the artificial intelligence products, and we've released those really at this show, we're using that intelligence to look at what's being detected, determine if it's a person or a piece of street furniture, and then warn the driver appropriately. And because these systems are more digital, we have a lot more flexibility in terms of configuration of the warning zones and the intensity of the acoustic warning that goes with it. So we're combining really our years of experience with cameras, years of experience with ultrasonics and radar with the very latest artificial intelligence. That's the thing. The artificial intelligence is exactly what they're looking for at the moment because they want their drivers to feel safe. There's actually one of the implications of the pandemic is there is a shortage of skilled drivers now in the industry, and I've heard that from a number of fleet managers particularly. So a lot of the drivers, the new drivers coming in, of course, are less experienced. So they need more support to make sure that we avoid accidents, because ultimately we're here to save lives, and that's the Brigade vision. We want to save lives, we want to avoid accidents. So by providing higher technology support to new drivers, inexperienced drivers, and particularly in busy built up areas. And what's interesting looking around this show is the amount of vehicles, the focus on the last mile. And these are where you've got large vehicles in heavily built up areas where there's lots of traffic around them, lots of people, lots of cyclists. And we're providing the opportunity for the driver then to make sure he doesn't have an accident. That's really the Brigade advantage because we cover all of the sectors you've mentioned and more. Clearly, the majority of vehicles on the road are lorries, LKWs, articulated lorries, particularly in Germany. But what we're seeing is, and you can see that here, is how many more vans there are. So a lot of the transport now is going down onto smaller vehicles. So that if you go around the streets in a European city, that's what you're going to see most of. But as a company, Brigade is also active in mining and construction. And although you're not in a busy street, you could be on a busy work site. You could be on a construction site with lots of workers, and the point there is the vehicles are much bigger, and some of these go really fast. So your detection distances are further away, and that's where a camera monitor system has some advantages, particularly over, say, ultrasonics, because a camera can look much further. And the other interesting aspect of the artificial intelligence, it has some element of forecasting what's going to happen when vehicles, is that worker walking away from my vehicle or is he walking towards my vehicle? And if I'm about to turn, is he coming into my line of sight? And a camera can do that far earlier than a mirror can do that. And that's the advantage. Total cost of ownership. The biggest cost for a fleet operator is going to be a damaged vehicle not on the road. So if we can avoid damage to the vehicle, which is collision avoidance. Obviously, we don't want to hurt anybody. We don't want anybody to have an accident. But some accidents don't involve people. It's the vehicle's hit a tree because it hasn't seen it. And then that vehicle's off the road. And time is money. So the key thing here is just overall avoid the accident. And really, for me, if you're a fleet operator, your margins are tight. So you need a system that you have one system that can cover all the bases. And for that, my recommendation is always the 360. And that's the one that you can see behind me here on the on this model, where we have 4 cameras mounted on the 4 sides of the vehicle. We blend the pictures together to give you a bird's eye view of the vehicle. So you can see all around the vehicle when you're maneuvering, say to reverse into a loading dock, or if you're in the streets, you can look left and right. The other advantage is that can be attached to triggers within the vehicle, such as the left and right blinker indicators, so that we can switch the screen from having full screen from above to half the screen just being that single camera on the one side. And with that one system, really you're covering all the bases. Now, the next exciting development from Brigade is to integrate artificial intelligence that we talked about before with 360. And that's a product we're looking to bring onto the market early next year. That really is a strong point of the Brigade brand. We have a reputation for very robust and long life products. But if I talk about the German situation, if our customers contact us and say that a product's not working, we will immediately send a replacement. So we don't concern ourselves immediately with, okay, well, whose fault is it? Why is it broken? We recognise our customers need to get back on the road quickly. We'll send them a replacement. So the vehicle's on the road. They can then send their faulty product back to us. Of course, we'll test it. If we find a fault, then that's finished. And our 360 system, for instance, is warranted for 5 years. We also have lifelong guarantees on some of our reversing alarms. Of course, if there's no fault found, we'll have to charge him for the product he's had. But what I find with our customers, they're more than happy because what they want is the vehicle back on the road. Large input into 1 or 2 Indian companies in mining. Mining is, again, very large machines, enclosed spaces with people walking around. And we are already active in India in the mining environment. And there are a number of OEMs, so European OEMs, with Indian subsidiaries that are active in the Indian market carrying our products. We've been following with interest the technical developments with the Indian market, particularly in regard to radar regulations. And although I'm in the German, I do know that there's been a change recently in that Indian, because it's discussed at a senior level within our company, because we're making sure that our products are homologated for the Indian market. And let's face it, it's a huge opportunity for everybody. We're also very interested to see, and discussions with Indian colleagues, how industry is developing in India, and the focus upon building within the market itself rather than importing. And we see some great opportunities also for ourselves, in particular changes to our own supply chain, where we could use Indian suppliers and bring products from India into Europe. So it's a great opportunity in both directions for us.